everybody, good morning. This is Gretchen the Green Lady. I am here at the Arboretum, and if you remember, I was starting a series called Interview with the Gardener. Well, who better than to interview an agent? Is your last name Bond?
James Bond.
James Bond. Well, I think she goes by Susan.
I do.
Tell us what you do here.
So my title is New Hanover County's Consumer Horticulture Extension Agent. So I'm actually an outreach of NC State University.
Wow.
But what I do is a little bit of everything.
Yes, well, when I discovered that she had some time to sit down and do this interview with us, I was so excited. So let's go ahead and get started on some of our questions. And our first question would be, what are your biggest issues to deal with in the early spring for flowers or for vegetable gardens?
Well, first of all, temperature, that's your big issue. And this year it's been exceptionally cold.
Yes, it has.
By now I would have had my tomatoes in the ground. But
yes.
You know, it's been so cold.
So yours are not in the ground?
Not yet.
Not mine.
No.
I heard we need to wait maybe till about the middle of this month.
Well, they usually April 15th is our last frost date, but you know, I was looking today and it looks like we're going to have some 40-degree temperatures even after that. But it's always subject to change.
It is. So temperature is one issue.
Yep. And then, you know, when you get the spring fever on the first warm day, you know, even I do, I go out and start looking for plants in the garden centers. And what they'll do is they'll do what I call impulse buys.
Yikes.
So they'll put these beautiful flowering plants that you want to put in your garden, but typically those are only going to bloom for you about 2 to 3 weeks, depending again on heat and weather.
Yes. Well, now if we were to start a garden, we could do some cool crops as far as vegetables, couldn't we?
Oh yes, definitely.
And what would you recommend for that?
Well, I planted my potatoes in February. You can do lettuces. I know some people you'd have to have them in the ground by now that try to do a broccoli and cauliflower crop. Oh, yep. Peas, things like that. I know now we're starting to gear up. We actually do have our squash in the ground in the vegetable garden.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
We've got to try to beat the squash vine borer.
Yes, the vine borer. Maybe that'll be another topic that we'll discuss. But I've had my broccoli and cabbage and cauliflower and peas and spinach.
Yep, spinach is another great one.
Spinach, but now I wanted to try to do a container for my potatoes, but maybe we'll save that for another time.
Yeah.
So now with flowers, there's other than pansies and some of your bulbs, are there other things that winter over well that we could have put in the ground in the fall?
Well, I particularly like the little Johnny jump ups.
Yeah, I do too.
They do so well here.
They do. They're really bright.
There are some dianthus. It's not your perennial dianthus.
Right.
It's considered more of an annual dianthus. It seems to hold up really well.
Yes, it does.
And then there's kale. You know, you can use a lot of edible cool season things.
Yes, I've forgotten about kale. I do dianthus. I love dianthus. So do the snails, but they tend to, if I can get them flowering, my dianthus flowering nicely in the winter before the snails show up, they do pretty good.
Yeah.
But
snapdragons, again, they're peaking now though, so you're not going to get much color in the winter.
Right.
And then there's the ornamental cabbages.
Yes. So the trick to some of these plants is to make sure you get them in the fall so that you can enjoy them in your spring garden.
Exactly.
Would that be true?
Yes.
Okay. Great question. All right, let's go to our next question. Do you do a soil test every year for both flower and veggie gardens?
Okay, so again, that's going to depend on the soil that you're dealing with. So here at the Arboretum, we have a vegetable garden, we have a demo garden, and with that, we have a really high pH in the soil.
Oh, and because?
Well, there's a lot of different reasons for it, but part of it is what we use to irrigate, the water has a high pH.
Yes.
And so when you're trying to change it, whether you're trying to lower it or to raise it, you do want to test more frequently.
Right.
Because you want to make sure that what you're doing to the soil is actually working.
Okay.
But if you have a flower bed or vegetable bed and your pH when you test it is good and you're not having any problems with your flowers or your vegetables, you can do it once every 3 years.
So now, do you recommend that our gardeners send in a soil test send in a soil sample to do their soil test, or do you think they can buy a kit that's adequate from the store?
No, you cannot use a kit. That it is not accurate.
It's fun to do with kids though, but you're
is.
right, it isn't accurate. It's bright and it's colorful, and I did do a post on it, but as it turned out, it wasn't. My pH showed like it was very alkaline, but the rest of them, your nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, were kind of a wash.
Yeah.
Yes. So and to whom or where do we send in, or does a gardener send in their soil samples?
So we partner, Cooperative Extension partners with the North Carolina Department of Agriculture, and it is free to soil test from April Fools to Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And then they charge $4.
Oh goodness, that's a good time frame. Okay, good question. All right. Everybody, this is Gretchen the Green Lady. We're dealing with lighting issues, as you can see, but what the heck, the Green Lady. I am here at the Arboretum. Susan Brown is an agent here, and tell us what you do here, actually what your title is.
So I am the New Hanover County...
She's good at it too.
I know what I am not.